Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our discussion on financing tools to help you grow with the National Energy Improvement Fund. Thank you for coming today. I'm Amy Beley, Vice President of Contractor Success at Pearl Certification, and I'm pleased to be hosting this webinar in partnership with the Building Performance Association as well as NEIF. We are passionate about providing valuable insights and information to help you grow your business and thrive in the new world we find ourselves in. I want to take a moment to address some current events. These are turbulent times. Our country is hurting deeply, and we feel it as a company, and I feel it on a personal level. One of Pearl's core values is equality between people. And I'd like to take a moment of silence to recognize the anguish, the lives that have been lost, and the impact on our communities. Thank you for that. A couple of housekeeping items. Everyone is muted given the number of attendees. If you have questions, please use the Q&A function located in the middle of your toolbar. I'll be managing the questions, and Heather will answer as many as she can at the end of our conversation. We are recording this webinar, and we'll share it as soon as we're able to in the next couple of days. You're welcome to use the chat box throughout. It will be monitored, but the questions will come from the Q&A. With that, let me share my screen. Okay, so there we go. So before we dive in, for those who may not know Pearl Certification documents the high-performing energy features of a home so that they can be valued at the time of sale or refinance. We do this by working with an elite network of contractors who certify their work. Those contractors are reporting on average between a 5 and 15% increase in close rates. Pearl certified homes are appraising for, on average, 5% more. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to visit our website, or my contact information will be at the end of the presentation. So we have two sponsors today, which I'm really excited about. The National Energy Improvement Fund is a mission-based lender offering services for improvements to make businesses and homes more resilient, energy efficient, healthy, and comfortable. NEIF transforms the highest standard. NEIF transforms financing from a contractor's cumbersome afterthought to an integral part of the value proposition for energy efficiency, renewable energy, and resiliency products. And the Building Performance Association. The BPA is a membership-driven association dedicated to advancing the home and building performance industry. The association provides support through key areas including advocacy, education, networking, and community. The organization represents 10,000 members who work to deliver improved energy efficiency, health, safety, and overall performance to people in their homes across the US. And we're excited to have both of these sponsors with us today. I'd like to introduce Heather Braithwaite. Heather manages the business development and program management for NEIF's commercial energy finance and rebate bridge programs. She's been a senior associate at Harcourt Brown & Carey and a project manager for HBC Capital for over a decade. So she's got many years in the financing industry, and I've been fortunate enough to cross paths with Heather multiple times over the years. And without further ado, Heather, I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Amy, and thank you to Pearl and to BPA for having us today to speak with you about commercial finance and other products and services NEIF has to offer. I want to pause for a second and discuss something that you said when you opened up. I used the phrase contractor success, and that's what that you are responsible for. And I feel like we're responsible for that too. And this presentation will hopefully support that. Every day I wake up, I'm thinking about how I can help my contractor networks, whether that be, you know, through commercial finance or other products to help their cash flow in their company. So I appreciate the contractor success piece, and I hope that NEIF will prove to be a partner to achieve those successes. So thank you. Can you advance the slide, please? First, I'm going to start off and just discuss NEIF, talk about how we came about. I actually joined one of our co-founders, Matthew Brown, about 11 years ago through a company called Harcourt Brown and Carey. Matthew and I worked across the country with different utilities and state governments, designing and implementing energy efficiency finance programs. At the same time, the other co-founder of NEIF, Peter Kreisa, was heading AFC Financial, doing residential finance. So about 3 years ago, Matthew and Peter decided, hey, why don't we join forces and we can bring together the commercial finance piece that we've been working on and the lessons learned in designing programs across the country, and Peter can bring to the table the residential piece as well. So with that, they decided to create the National Energy Improvement Fund. The National, oops, sorry. Yeah, please stay there. The National Energy Improvement Fund is responsible for many types of products and services. And we are touching contractors that serve the residential industry and the commercial industry. For the residential side of things, we have point of purchase financing and insurance for qualifying energy and resiliency improvements. On the commercial side, we have financing for industrial, commercial, and municipal energy and resiliency upgrades. We also provide bridge financing for our contractors, and I'll go into what bridge financing is in a little more detail a little later. We also work with governments, utilities, manufacturers, and distributors to help reach their contractor networks as well. Today, we're going to focus on the commercial side of our business and the bridge financing side of our business. Advance the slide, please. In order to do what we do at NEIF, we rely on 4 pillars for our business. And those 4 pillars are simplicity, transparency, trust, and expertise. And why are these important? Simplicity is very important. Over the years of designing these programs, we have seen programs over-designed, cumbersome, and difficult to participate in. So when we've designed our programs, we try to keep simplicity as a major characteristics of the programs that we develop. Transparency is also important. There are other partners in this. Other financial institutions, lenders in this space. So we want to make sure that our terms are clear to you. There are no hidden costs. There's no question. You always know what you're going to be getting with NEIF's financing. And trust. We are third-party certified, not only on our lending side, but we're a benefit corporation. So we are third-party certified, not only looking at our lending operations, but also the social and environmental focus that we place in our business. And finally, expertise. And I think this is the most important one, because we're able to work with our contractors to talk about energy, not just finance. And they find that to be really helpful. We have projects that come in that really rely on the energy component, the numbers, etc. So we're able to talk that language as well as the finance language. Next slide, please. And whenever we're talking to our contractors, there are 5 things. We call them our commercial energy finance top 5. 5 things we want you to remember. Financing is free for our contractors. We do have some additional benefits for what we call premium contractors. I'm happy to discuss those. We also cover 100% of project costs with no money down. And rebates. Rebates can be used in conjunction with our financing, and I'll go into that a little bit more later. And NEIF identifies the lowest possible rates and best terms for our vetted group of lenders. We work with a variety of different lenders that have an appetite for different types of projects, different project sizes, different technologies. We have a lender that can fit the best, your project. And finally, 3 to 6 month deferred payment plan. We know that customers are having hard times right now. So a few of our partners have enabled us or enabling your customers to have a 3 to 6 month deferred payment plan. Next slide, please. This is what we call the basic finance term sheet. So all of our commercial contractors have this. I call it the handy dandy cheat sheet. So they can access this and say, okay, I just got in a project today. It's a nonprofit project. And what did Heather tell me about nonprofits? So they look at their sheet and they can say, okay, I can roughly guesstimate that, for a project, my project's $100,000, let's say. I know that I can get my customers potentially 1 to 7 years. And those rates would be anywhere from 4.5% to 8%. It's just a quick guide to help contractors understand what we can offer. Next slide, please. The finance process. This is where we like to really hone in on the simplicity. NEIF has created a commercial finance portal in order to make this process as simple as possible. Once you are a NEIF-approved contractor, you're able to enter our portal and create a proposal, which you see on the left here, in less than 2 minutes. Why is that important? We really believe that getting a proposal out with every project is going to help you close your deals. It's an option. No cash out of pocket. We also use this proposal as a tool to help close your deals because we're able to show what we call net monthly cash flow. When you're able to give us energy savings numbers, we're able to calculate those numbers into our system so that you can see how much the debt would be monthly for your customer, but you can also see how much money they're saving in energy costs, producing that net monthly cash flow. A customer is usually likely to move forward to the project if the net monthly cash flow is positive, meaning they are saving money on day one. It's a good business decision. Next slide, please. Well, that was it for commercial financing. And that commercial financing, our program there would allow you to close more deals, hopefully, with your customers. This next product, Rebate Bridge, is for approved contractors. And I said I would talk more about rebates as we got down the line here, and here we are. So if you are working with a utility in a rebate program, you are sometimes having to wait for rebates. We heard over the years from our contracting community that they would like to participate in these programs more, but waiting for the rebate was not something they really like to do. So we said, okay, let's see if we can solve that problem. And we were able to do that. And now instead of having to wait 30 to 180 days, we're able to pay contractors that rebate amount within 2 business days. There are some criteria in order to do that, to participate in this program. Rebate minimums have to be $3,000, and that rebate has to be transferable to a third party. Also, we can only offer this product for projects that are complete. We have a current list of our program offerings here on this slide. If you're currently participating in any of these programs, feel free to reach out and I can get you set up with that program. But if you're not, and you're interested in NEIF integrating with a particular rebate program, contact me and I can see if we can get integrated with that program. Okay, next slide. So this is our second solution, I'd say, for cash flow for contractors. We also know, contracting companies, as everyone, are running through some hard times right now. and cash flow seems to be a problem. So we've also partnered with someone to help with that situation. We're now offering a business line of credit to our contractors. The maximum amount of that for that product is $500,000. The term is 18 months, and the rate is $499 to $799. Our investment group, anticipated some fallout from the small business programs, and were able to access low-cost capital to lend out to a line of credit for our contractors. Line of credit essentially acts like a credit card, and you can make draws on that over the 18 months. So if you're interested in that type of option for your cash flow problems, please reach out. So thank you very much. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time on commercial finance, bridge financing, and working line of capital. I'm happy to answer any questions and work with anyone to solve any of the problems you may be having.
Thank you, Heather. I'm going to go back a couple of slides here, if I can get my computer to cooperate. There we go. Can you talk a little bit more about who is eligible to take part in the rebate bridge products? Like, where is it available? How do they figure out if their program is eligible, that sort of thing?
Sure, absolutely. Rebate bridge, we can do anywhere, any utility rebate program that offers a rebate. But like I said, with the program criteria, that rebate must be at least $3,000. And most importantly, it needs to be transferable to a third party. And how would you know that? Usually the program have a guideline manual, or you can talk to the program representative, and they would know. In the application process, there's usually a section that says third party assignability. So if that is available for you, then we could more than likely integrate with any program.
Awesome. And can you talk a little bit about, do you have any sort of success stories that you can share from contractors who've taken advantage of this?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The New Jersey Home Performance with Energy Star program was the first program we integrated with Rebate Bridge. And one of the contractors under that program, we have been able to deliver over $2.5 million worth of rebates over the last year and a half to that company within the 2 business days over that time. And in turn, he was able to grow his business, actually add more employees to grow his business to do more work. And that's what we wanted to do. That's what we wanted the outcome to be, was to help contractors with their cash flow so they can grow their businesses.
Awesome. And what kind of rebate programs are eligible?
Any types of rebate. We do lighting rebates. We do electric vehicle charging station rebates. So anything that's rebatable, that's $3,000 or above, we can talk about it.
Awesome. We did have a question come in, and I'll just remind folks, if you do have questions for Heather, please use the Q&A function, and we'll get those answered for you. The first one is, who is paying the finance charges and interest on the rebate bridge?
Okay, so on Rebate Bridge, there is a fee. There's no finance charge, but there is a fee to the contractor. The agreement is between NEIF and the contractor. And that fee would be deducted out of the final amount that is ACH to a contractor in those 2 business days. And those fees are worked out in an agreement between NEIF and the contractor prior to accessing Rebate Bridge.
Is there a certain percentage, or kind of what's the process for negotiating that?
Absolutely. So we have 2 different flavors of Rebate Bridge, one we call small and large. Small rebates are $10,000 and under, so that's $3,000 to $10,000. And that's a 1 payment structure. So we are, and again, that fee is, discussed between us and the contractor. But that is going to be anywhere from 6 to 7% on the one-time fee. And then the larger rebates, 10,000 and above, that's a 2 payment structure. The first payment is 80% of that rebate value. Okay. And then the second payment is 20%. And we pay that final percentage out when we're paid from the rebating agency. And the cost there, we try to stay between 2 and 4%.
Okay. And do you only support market rate programs, or do income qualified programs qualify as well?
For the rebate bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be fine. As long as the rebate is transferable and $3,000 and above.
Got it. Okay. And then what about in program environments where there's an approval process prior to the rebate being released? How do you guys manage that?
Great question. So it's really important for rebate bridge, and I'm glad they asked that question. We can only offer this service to projects that have been completed. We do get a lot of requests for the bridge to happen once they've submitted their application, because there's usually a lot of time between the application and finishing their project. But at this time, we're not able to fund that time period. We're only able to fund from the time the project is complete and the time that the contractor would be waiting to get paid. And in some cases, the rebate programs across the country, they are paying within 2 weeks, but some are paying 30 and out to 180 days, and that's what's really hurting the contractors.
And can you remind us what the qualifications process is for the rebate bridge again?
Qualification. You would become a NEIF-approved contractor in order to participate in the rebate bridge.
Right, and how do you become an approved contractor?
Contact me and I would have a NEIF contractor specialist contact you, and there are a few pieces of paperwork that would have to be executed between you and NEIF, and we'd be ready to go. And there will also be a master rebate agreement that is executed between the contractor and NEIF, and in that agreement there's language regarding the fees and the process.
And then for the homeowner, is there any sort of qualifications that they have to meet?
No, typically I've seen in the applications of the rebate programs, the customer has to sign to say that it's okay for that rebate to go to a third party.
Okay, great. And then moving back to the line of credit, can you talk a little bit about how does this compare to other lines of credit? Why would a contractor choose NEIF over, say, their local bank or something like that?
Well, I definitely don't, want to steer anyone in any particular direction. If you have a good relationship with your working bank, I would, suggest looking into that. I think sometimes our contractors and customers prefer to work with us because of speed. We could get these lines of credit approved and going in 2 to 4 days. And sometimes when you work with a bank, it could take longer. The rates are competitive for this type of product right now. So I could just advise that they do talk to their local bank and see what's offered there as well. But on our side, I think it's sometimes a speed. It can be quicker to do it through us.
Okay. And then for financing these projects for the commercial projects, which are back here, there we are. Mm-hmm. What are the general terms of the loan?
Well, for commercial nonprofit, we can go 1 to 7 years. Sometimes we can get longer tenors terms, but typically you're going to see our products fall into 1 to 7 years, unless we get into the government projects or nonprofit, and then we can get up into the 15 and 20-year range.
Okay. And then what is the success rate for financing nonprofit church projects? How many have you guys done?
That's a good question. We have financed nonprofit church projects in the past. I'm not quite sure how many we have done. However, COVID has unfortunately stalled that market out a little bit for us. So getting financing for churches is a little bit more difficult. We are now asking to get COVID statements from churches that are giving our lenders information about their revenues if they're still coming in. Some churches are doing online donations, etc. So it really depends on the particular church at this point.
Okay. And then there's another question about the minimum credit score for contractor financing and how long is that approval process? I think it's probably for the line of credit if I.
Yeah. So the minimum credit score for that is 640. The line of credit.
And how long is the process?
That process can take 2 to 4 days, depends on how long we can get documents turned around. And there's a phone call associated with that process. So it's a matter of aligning the borrower and the lender up to have that discussion to go through terms and conditions.
Okay. If there are other questions out there, please feel free to use the Q&A function. Heather, I'm curious, what kinds of questions do you run into when you're talking to contractors that we haven't covered here?
Sure. Progress payments. A lot of contractors ask if they can get what they call a progress payment for the commercial finance side of things. And yes, we can do that with many of our partners. So what that means is that when the closing documents are signed and the project is a go from the finance standpoint, that contractor can get 50% of that project cost ACH'd in 2 business days from the point of that closing. That seems to be something that's really helpful for our contractors, especially right now. So I'd say progress payments. They also ask about co-branding. Can we co-brand our proposal so it looks like it's really coming more from us than from you? And yes. So earlier we had mentioned that we have no fee. I mentioned we have no fee for our contractors. However, we do have a suite of services we call premium contractor features. And one of those features is actually co-branding. So you can have everything coming out of our portal look like it's actually coming from you. So those are 2 questions I get often.
Another question came in. How many loans have you done? What's the average size, total value of the fund?
Well, I'd say, well, there's a couple ways to answer that question. I believe that Matthew and Peter collectively have done over $800 million in financing over their careers. I don't have my latest numbers for 2020 off the top of my head. However, I would say our average project size, I can't answer that. It's interesting. I like to think that our average project size is more around 50,000, but as of lately, we've been getting lots of really big projects. So the big projects tend to skew the numbers a little bit. So if I take out the really big projects, I'd say, 35 to 50,000 is really our average project size right now. But we also work with programs, we integrate with different utility programs where, our average project size for a utility program might be $4,000. So it's really, it's a complicated question to answer.
Thank you for taking the best crack.
Yeah.
So we've got one more question here. Are you addressing energy improvement specifically for, and what about new construction and remodeling?
Mm-hmm. We do support energy, and that has been our mission for many years, and it still is. However, we do have projects that come across our desk that do not include energy measures. We often have to make sure that the measure that we're looking to get financed is something our lenders will finance, so that could be a potential conversation we would have in terms of that. And what was the second part of that question? Sorry.
New construction and remodeling.
Yes. Yes to yes. Yes and yes. We can do new construction and remodeling.
Got it. So is that true for the bridge financing too? So if there's a rebate associated with new construction? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then let's see here. When you talk about the credit score, are you talking about the owner of the business, or are you talking about the business credit score?
So that's going to be a personal credit score, and that would be a soft pull, not a hard pull on credit. And there's a credit review, a credit a document that's signed for credit release for that.
Okay. And are you financing any solar projects?
Absolutely. We can do small solar projects, large solar projects. We can do PPAs in states where PPAs are allowed. We can do leases as well, and energy service agreements.
Is that for residential and commercial?
We can do that for commercial and residential, yes.
Okay. And so for the homeowners, for any of these, is there a credit score component to it for any of the homeowners? So for, if they're using funds from NEIF, do you require a credit score from the homeowner for any of those products?
Okay, so for on the residential side, on the commercial side, if we are financing a project, sometimes a lender may come back if the business has not been in business for 2 years, or if there's something not, the financial health doesn't look particularly stellar. They might require one of the owners or owners to provide what's called a personal guarantee. If that personal guarantee is required, then yes, the owner or owners of the business would be required to submit their social security number, and there would be a credit check.
Got it. And there's sort of a clarification on the question about the kind of energy improvement projects. Is there any specific focus on investments in like installation, high performance windows, et cetera, or is it really just rebate program driven?
I'm going to answer this one the best I can. I think what you're asking is, let me clarify something. So for the commercial financing, you don't have to be tied to a rebate program at all. You can just have, a proposal, an invoice with your customer to do the work that you need to do. If you are using a rebate program, that's great. And you can actually use that rebate potentially use that rebate to reduce the financing. But you do not have to be aligned with a rebate program to use our financing.
Got it. That's helpful. I think we may be out of questions. Heather, is there any sort of closing thoughts that you'd like to share before I close this out today?
No, I really appreciate the time. And thank you again to Pearl and BPA for making this happen. I hope to hear from some contractors, and I hope that NEIF is able to help you with either closing more deals or helping your cash flow.
Awesome, I appreciate that. And thank you all for your questions and engagement in today's discussion. I'd like to thank you, Heather, for your time and attention and your willingness to share your experience today. We'll be following up with the recording of today's webinar here in the next couple of days. And I'd also like to make a special thank you to our sponsors, to NEIF and to the Building Performance Association. Really appreciate those partnerships and look forward to those continuing. You can see our contact information on the screen. If you have any questions about Pearl, you can contact me. Heather has made her contact information available, as well as Katie at the Building Performance Association. Pearl is continuing to build out its webinar series. June is Healthy Homes Month, and we've got a few presentations in the works that I'm actually pretty excited about. On June 16th, Allison Bales and Jeffrey Sauls of Energy Vanguard will be joining us with a renewed, sustained interest from homeowners to live in healthy, virus-free homes. There's a lot of information out there, and Allison and Jeffrey will discuss tactical, practical ways to help your customers make informed decisions about indoor air quality. We'll be sending out details on how to register soon. Thank you so much for coming today, and hope to see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.